It's 3:17 a.m. You know the exact time because you've checked the clock. Again, the room is dark and quiet. Your partner is asleep. The house is still. And your brain is completely, frustratingly wide awake. You fell asleep just fine. But something pulled you out of sleep, and now you're lying there running through tomorrow's to-do list, or replaying a conversation from 2 weeks ago, or just staring at the ceiling wondering what is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you, but something is happening, and it started in your body years before you noticed it. Here's what I want you to know before we go any further. This 3 a.m. waking is the single most common sleep complaint I hear from people over 65. Not trouble falling asleep, not feeling groggy. This specific thing, waking up in the middle of the night and lying there unable to get back to sleep. You are not alone in this, not even close. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why it's happening, why melatonin probably hasn't helped you, and what you can actually do, starting tonight. Let's start with the why, because once you understand what's going on, the solutions make a lot more sense. Here's the thing most doctors don't take the time to explain. Your sleep is not one long, continuous block of unconsciousness. It's actually made up of cycles, roughly 90 minutes each, where your brain moves through different stages of sleep, from light sleep to deep sleep to something called REM sleep, which is where most of your dreaming happens. When you're young, those cycles are smooth and seamless. You move through them without waking up. But after 60, something shifts. Your deep sleep, the most physically restorative stage, shrinks. What used to be rich, dense, heavy sleep in the first half of the night becomes lighter. And that means in the second half of the night, roughly around 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., you're spending much more time in light sleep. Sleep so light that almost anything can pull you fully awake. A sound, a slight change in temperature, a full bladder, a thought, and suddenly you're completely conscious, wondering why this keeps happening. Now here's something else. There's a chemical in your brain called cortisol. Most people have heard of it as the stress hormone. But cortisol also has a natural daily rhythm. It starts rising in the very early hours of the morning to prepare your body to wake up. In younger people, that rise is gradual and begins around 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. In many older adults, that rise begins earlier, sometimes as early as 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Your body is essentially starting its wake-up process before you've had enough sleep. And then there's one more thing working against you, and this one surprises most people. The brain chemical that builds up sleep pressure throughout the day, think of it like a tiredness weight that accumulates from the moment you open your eyes. It doesn't accumulate as strongly after 60 as it used to, which means by the second half of your night, the pressure pushing you back to sleep is weaker than it was when you were 45. So you have lighter sleep cycles, an early cortisol rise, and reduced sleep pressure in the middle of the night. That combination is why 3 a.m. waking is so common at this stage of life. It is not a character flaw. It is not anxiety, though anxiety can make it worse. It is biology. And I know how exhausting it is to lie there, feeling like your body has turned against you. It hasn't. It's just changed. And that means what works has to change too. Here's the good news. A lot of what's driving your 3 a.m. waking is fixable. Not overnight, but genuinely, meaningfully fixable. Let's go through the 5 most effective adjustments you can make. I'm going to give you the specific action steps, not vague advice, actual things to do. Number 1, stop the habit that fills your bladder by 3 a.m. This one sounds almost too simple, but it makes an enormous difference. One of the most common reasons people fully wake at 3 a.m. and then can't return to sleep is a partially full bladder. It's not urgent enough to be the thing that woke you, but once you're awake, it's enough to keep you awake. Here's what I want you to try. Set a fluid cutoff of 2 hours before bed. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., that means no more than a few small sips of anything after 8 p.m. And that includes herbal tea, which many people drink before bed thinking it helps them sleep. It does not help if it's waking you up at 3 a.m. Also, and this is important, make sure you actually use the bathroom right before you get into bed. Not 30 minutes before, right before. Number 2, cool your bedroom down, and here's exactly how much. Your core body temperature drops when you fall asleep, and it naturally starts to rise again in the early morning hours, which is part of what triggers that 3 a.m. waking. If your bedroom is warm, even slightly warm, that rise in temperature happens faster and wakes you more completely. The ideal bedroom temperature for sleep after 60 is between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, not cool-ish, that specific range. If you share a bedroom and your partner runs warm or cold, here's a practical workaround. Use a lightweight fan near your side of the bed, pointed slightly away from you. The gentle airflow keeps your personal microclimate cooler without affecting the room temperature overall. If you're someone who gets cold at night, the solution is not a warmer room, it's warm bedding with a cool room. Your body needs the cool air on your face and the ability to shed warmth during the night. Number 3, look at when you're eating dinner and what you're drinking after. Now this next one surprises people. Most people over 65 who wake up at 3 a.m. have never connected it to something they did at 7 p.m. But here's the thing, your digestive system and your sleep system are deeply connected. When you eat a large meal close to bedtime, your body is still actively digesting during the first half of your sleep. That process elevates your core body temperature slightly and keeps your system activated at a time when it should be winding down. The goal is to finish your main meal at least 3 hours before bed. If you eat dinner at 8 p.m. and you go to bed at 10 p.m., your body is still in digestion mode when you're trying to be in deep sleep mode. That's a conflict your body will lose. But here's the one I really want you to pay attention to. Alcohol. Even one glass of wine in the evening, even if it makes you feel sleepy, disrupts the second half of your sleep significantly. Alcohol suppresses REM sleep in the first half of the night. Then, when your body metabolizes it around 2 to 3 hours later, there's a rebound effect. Your brain becomes more alert, your sleep becomes lighter, and you wake up. That glass of wine at 8 p.m. is one of the most common hidden causes of 3 a.m. waking in adults over 65. If you drink in the evenings and you wake at 3 a.m., this is where I'd start first. Number 4. Change what you do in the first 10 minutes after waking. This one is about what happens after the waking, not before it. Most people make one of two mistakes when they wake at 3 a.m. Mistake 1. They lie there trying to force themselves back to sleep, watching the clock, getting more and more frustrated. The frustration itself raises your cortisol, which is the last thing you need. Mistake 2. They pick up their phone. Here's what works instead. When you wake at 3 a.m., your goal for the first few minutes is one thing. Lower your body's alert response. Don't fight the waking, don't panic. Instead, try this. Lie still. Don't check the clock. Turn the clock away from you before bed so you're not tempted. And begin breathing in a specific pattern. 4 counts in through your nose. Hold for 2. 6 counts out through your mouth. Do this 6 to 8 times, slowly. This breathing pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's calm down system. It directly counters the cortisol rise that's keeping you awake. If after 20 minutes you are still fully awake and starting to feel frustrated, get up. Go to a dim room, sit quietly, do something very gentle. Reading a physical book, not a screen. Return to bed when you feel genuinely drowsy. It sounds counterintuitive, but lying awake in bed for an hour trains your brain to associate your bed with wakefulness. Getting up breaks that association. Number 5. Protect your sleep pressure during the day. Remember that sleep pressure I mentioned, the tiredness weight that builds up through the day? After 65, you have less of it, which means anything that drains it during the day makes the problem worse at night. The biggest culprit is napping. I'm not going to tell you never to nap. A short nap can be genuinely restorative, but there are 2 rules that matter enormously. Keep naps under 25 minutes. Once you cross into deep sleep, which starts happening around 30 minutes in, you wake up groggy and you've significantly depleted your sleep pressure for the night. And do not nap after 2 p.m. A nap at 4 p.m. in the afternoon is almost directly borrowing from your midnight sleep account. If you feel a strong urge to nap after 2 p.m., try this instead. Go outside for a 10-minute walk in natural light. The light signal resets your alertness without touching your sleep pressure. According to the National Institute on Aging, sleep architecture, the structure of your sleep cycles, changes significantly with age, with older adults spending less time in the deeper, more restorative stages of sleep and more time in lighter stages. This is documented, consistent, and well understood in sleep medicine. The reason it matters is that it means standard advice designed for 35-year-olds often doesn't apply the same way to someone who's 68. Sleep specialists describe the 3 a.m. waking pattern as sleep maintenance insomnia, and it is specifically more prevalent in older adults precisely because of these architectural changes. It is the most common form of sleep disruption in the over 65 population, and it is also one of the most addressable once you understand what's driving it. Let me say something about melatonin before we close, because almost everyone watching this has tried it. Melatonin doesn't help you sleep longer or stay asleep. What it does is shift your body clock. It signals your brain when it's time to start preparing for sleep. For someone who can't fall asleep in the first place, it can help move that process earlier. But for someone who falls asleep at 10 p.m. just fine and then wakes up at 3 a.m., melatonin does almost nothing for the second half of the night. That's not what it's designed for. And here's something else. Most over-the-counter melatonin in the US is sold in doses of 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, even 20 milligrams. For adults over 60, the research suggests the effective dose is actually somewhere between 0.5 milligrams and 1 milligrams, a fraction of what's typically sold. Higher doses can actually leave you feeling groggier the next day and may make the waking worse over time. If you've been taking melatonin and not seeing results, it's not because you need more. It may be because it's simply the wrong tool for your specific problem. So let's bring this together. You wake up at 3 a.m. because your sleep is naturally lighter in the second half of the night, your cortisol begins rising earlier than it used to, and your sleep pressure doesn't hold as strong as it once did. That's the biology. It's real and it's not your fault. What you can do about it: Cut off fluids 2 hours before bed and use the bathroom right before you lie down. Cool your bedroom to between 65 and 68 degrees. Finish eating at least 3 hours before bed and take an honest look at whether alcohol is waking you up. Use the breathing technique in those first 10 minutes after waking and resist the urge to check your phone. And protect your sleep pressure during the day by keeping naps short and early. None of these are complicated. None of them cost anything. But they work together, and if you apply even 2 or 3 of them consistently over the next week, most people notice a real difference. Sleep is not something your body has forgotten how to do. It's just working differently now than it did 20 years ago. And different doesn't have to mean worse. It just means the approach has to match where you are now. You deserve to sleep well, and with the right adjustments, you can. If this was helpful to you, the next video I'd point you toward is right here. It covers the 5 foods that make 3 a.m. waking significantly worse, and at least one of them will probably surprise you. I'll see you there.